Hello, good evening, good evening. So are we're rolling, Adrian?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Omega Black Riders Series number 10. Today we're bringing you another outstanding program featuring three outstanding men of the Omega Sci-Fi fraternity who are all published writers. In addition, one of them is also a publisher. He's been in the publishing business for about 20 years. So he has a lot of beneficial insights, experience, and knows how to get you from a manuscript to getting your book published and promoting and getting that sold. So what we'd like to do is get started. We're going to ask each gentleman to introduce themselves and tell you something about their book or either their business. And let us get started with Tony Scott. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your book.
Thank you, Brother Holiday. Thank you to the Omega Black Writers Series for allowing me to have this opportunity. My name is Tony Scott. I am a member of Omega Psi Phi 210 Zeta Omega out of Cleveland, Ohio. I am an attorney. I graduated from Cleveland State College of Law, as well as have my master's degree in public administration. In my 9 to 5, I am a government employee, City of Cleveland Assistant Director of Community Development. In my 5 to 9, I am the owner of ISI Consulting LLC. ISI derived from Proverbs 27:17 as iron sharpens iron, so shall a man sharpen the countenance of his friend. And that is the premise behind ISI. We work with small businesses and nonprofits, consulting about growing their business from a legally compliant standpoint, as well as just helping them understand the business that they're in and the landscape that who they work with. We also work with individuals on personal and professional development and coaching. And it's in that space that I wrote my book that we're here to discuss tonight. It's called Unlocking Potential Insights, Tips, and Strategies for Young Black Professionals. And so from that book, we work with people more so for my young Black professionals, honestly, even though anybody older, younger, Black, white, regardless of where you fit in the diaspora can benefit from it. So thank you for having me.
Okay, outstanding. We are very happy to have you and look forward to hearing more insights from you in terms of your book. Okay, let's move on to Paul Prosper. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your book.
Brother Holiday, thank you for the invite to the Omega Black Rider series. Just want to big up Kappa Xi chapter, my former chapter. I was in Las Vegas 7 to 11. Loved it out there. And I also want to hail up my mentor, Air Force mentor, Dr. Gerald Curry, who was also stationed at Nellis Air Force Base when I was there. And I was a lowly captain while he was security forces group commander. And hey, Brother Curry, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule whenever I came by your office just to fill my lamp with knowledge, wisdom, and mentorship. Much appreciated. It's not forgotten. And you helped me get to the finish line to now where I am retired from the Air Force. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Prosper. I am a retired Air Force officer, retired in 2021, born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. And I left Jamaica in 2010, moved to New York, ended up going to college in South Carolina, the Citadel. And that's where I joined Omega Psi Phi fraternity in spring 99, Beta Mu chapter. I was the ace. And after that, graduated in 2001, joined the Air Force and had a really interesting life, really interesting stories. And that's what brought me to being an author, just to share my story, my life, and my book, Attend the World Cup Like a Pro. Don't think that this is just a book for a soccer fan. If you appreciate people, if you are not on board with all the divisiveness going on right now in the world, if you are open to embracing other cultures, countries, travel the world, increasing your cultural capital, this book is for you. I was fortunate enough to attend the World Cup in South Africa 2010, Brazil 2014, Russia 2018, and Qatar 2022. I poured all my experiences into this book, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. Thank you for having me today.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right, and let's move on to Gerald Curry. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your business, Curry Brothers Publishing.
Okay, thank you, Brother Holiday. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll get to the company. Originally from Nashville, Tennessee, attended Tennessee State University, graduated, well, I pledged the Mighty Roadside Chapter in spring of 1980. ROTC, got my commission, did 27 years in the Air Force, retired as a colonel in 2010. And now I currently serve my 9 to 5 as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Force Resilience for the Air Force. And so still trying to punch the clock in that way. I'm an adjunct college professor at 2 universities teaching security studies, married with 3 grown children and 3 grandchildren. So been paying my dues. So I got to keep a job probably till the day I die. But as far as the company is concerned, we started back in 2003. My brother Kenneth, who was a school teacher at the time, authored 23 books. He self-published them all. Unfortunately, he died in 2008. The company lay dormant for about 5 years. And 2013, my older brother Robert and I restarted the company without knowing anything about publishing. So it was almost, we went to the school of hard knocks to some degree, made a lot of mistakes, lost a lot of money, even lost a lot of good customers. But again, there's no lesson like a bought lesson, one that you pay for dearly and you never forget. We're a small company. We have about 12 employees. We offer a full service hybrid or either independent publisher. I'm also a publishing agent where then I can, if you want to take your book to the big stores, like Simon & Schuster and Penguin and Bakers and Taylor, we can do all those things too. And so we assist our authors in not only marketing their book, but also promoting their book. And there's a big difference between marketing and promotions. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about copyright as we go on throughout the night. And so how about I just leave it there and then we go ahead and push forward.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And I'm going to stay with you, but before we do that, I just want to let everyone that's viewing this broadcast that you can ask questions. We will set aside time for Q&A. So if you have any questions or if you want contact information, the best way to do that is just hit us up on our social media, Omega Black Writers on Facebook or Instagram. Send us a message and we will pass it on to the necessary party that you want to get in touch with. But if you have any questions currently, go ahead and put those in the question queue. But I wanted to also take a personal point of privilege here. Gentlemen, I want to commend you. Now, I know I've given you a hard time here and there, but I want to personally commend you on your service. I believe this is the first broadcast where we've had all the participants to be active duty and have served for many years in the military, preserving our way of life and have dedicated a large portion of their life to that. I am a supporter of our military. I grew up in the military household. I'll just say this, my grandfather, who was born in October of 1890, served in the United States Army. So that was my maternal grandfather. He's now buried in Jefferson Barracks in St. Louis, Missouri area. But I just wanted to take a moment and let you know, regardless of my kidding here and there, I do have a lot of respect for you and your service. So with that, Dr. Curry, we're going to ask you to tell us, based on your extensive experience, how much does it cost typically to publish a book, and what's a reasonable time frame for getting a book from manuscript to published?
Yeah, great question. It typically costs anywhere from 3,000 upwards to about 12,000 to publish a book. And again, it all depends on how prepared, the condition of your manuscript, on how long it's going to take. Our authors have done it as early as 4 months, all the way up to about 8 to 10 months is about average. Can take up to a year, again, depending on how much access you have to that author and how hard they're willing to actually work on that manuscript. So again, about average, about $3,000 to $12,000, and about I'm going to say 4 to 8 months in actually publishing your book. There's a variety of things that have to happen in publishing that book. It probably needs to be edited. There's nothing more important than having a good cover design and making sure there's no grammar errors in that book. So again, we do our due diligence by taking it through 3 different stages of editing. And then at the back end, there's a quality control review where then everything is looked at. So we go through a cursory review, a copy edit, and then of course a substantive change where then we're dotting I's and crossing T's, making sure page numbers are in the right page and things of that nature, making sure the table of content is the way it's supposed to be, and that all the images have a minimum of 300 DPI up to about 600 DPI. And we're talking about pixels on to make sure that picture is print ready. And then, of course, making sure that your work is copyrighted. I'll talk a little bit more about copyright a little bit later, but it's important that you actually own the copyright of your project. So then again, it remains in your family forever and ever. And your family continues to get paid for that unless you decide to distribute it overseas. And if you distribute your book overseas, then of course you're setting yourself up for third-party piracy. And again, that's a different conversation, but we can talk about that. So let me leave it there, because I know as we circle back, I'll probably get a little bit more into copyright. We'll talk about foreign subsidies. We can talk about ghostwriting. We can kind of cover all those different things.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Dr. Paul Prosper, tell us, what was your inspiration for writing your book?
All right, Brother Holiday, great question. And man, the world is just, I don't know if it's the world or the country is just so divided right now. And, I want to step back because a lot of things on my mind all the time is about the state of the world, and it's very heavy, and I decided, you know what? The World Cup is coming up in 2026. I've been to the last 4, as I mentioned, 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022. So in order for me to take advantage of the World Cup coming next year, I figured, hey, this probably should be my first book. And it's on a more of a positive note, because trust me, Prosperous Publishing will be addressing the issues in the world, as brother Tony Scott, I'm sure brother Gerald Curry has published books on a lot of problems in the world. But however, I'm trying to be an optimist and focus and let folks know that there's still a lot of positivity in the world. People all over the world from my travels all want the same thing. We just want to be happy. And I'm a licensed senior professional in HR. And one part of HR I love is work-life balance. And I've noticed a lot of people are in a rat race, and a lot of people are chasing the carrot and get distracted from what really makes us happy. And basically what I'm learning through my life is what really makes people happy is experiences, not things, not job titles, it's experiences. And I've been fortunate enough to experience some life-changing things going to these World Cups that let me know that, man, there's so much more in this world. And what we have in our little cocoon in the United States or wherever you live, that can make you happy. So I traveled to those World Cups, and the people I've met, the stories I have, a lot of random, crazy, just things that only happen on international trips. I poured them all into this book. This book is not just about football, and I'm calling it football. I know in the US, y'all think that other thing is football. That's hand egg, hand oval. But I'm talking about football where you really use your feet, right? We're talking about that football. And I wrote this book through that lens. However, this book applies to world travelers, people who are about exploring and finding out what the world has to offer and experiences. I have strategies on how I save for my trips, how I pack for my trips, how I evaluate whether I'm going to stay in a hotel, Airbnb, hostel, stay with a friend, safety tips to think about when you travel, and how I get the flights, travel hacks using SkyMiles, etc. So this book is not just for the football fan. It's for people who appreciate the world, who appreciate traveling, people who might be hesitant based on what the media has painted in your mind about other countries. And so that's what inspired me to get started with publishing this book.
Okay, all right, appreciate that. Thank you. Attorney Tony Scott, same question. Tell us about your inspiration for writing your book.
Sure, thank you. Mine has a different twist on it than Brother Prosper, but I told you yesterday, I'm gonna be talking about that experience stuff with my wife listening. So she's upstairs having a conversation with our son. Hopefully she's not watching and I can edit this out on YouTube before she hears him talking about passports and World Cups. My book, I'll show you my cover because I failed to do so. Unlocking Potential, Insights, Tips, and Strategies for Young Black Professionals. My book is about I'm a little bit about me. I'm from East Cleveland, Ohio, which is a poor part of Cleveland, a suburb, if you would, although it was once affluent. My experiences growing up was first generation college, didn't know my biological father other than his photo on the Ohio Offender website, but my stepfather stepped in, taught me a lot about work ethic, even though he was blue collar and hadn't finished his formal education. After graduating from high school, was not responsible enough to go to college, did not have any money saved up, blew a scholarship because I was too busy drinking and chasing women, if I'm gonna be completely honest. And so that's when I went into the military. I served 8 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. And at that point, first became a husband and a father. And so from there, fast forward, did my 8 years honorable discharge, continued my education, finished my undergraduate in English, my master's in public administration, and then my JD, my Juris Doctorate. Now, on paper, my life looks pristine. The reality is I was making a host of mistakes along the way. I was being unfaithful, being promiscuous, squandered opportunities. My mental health was deteriorating. I didn't have a support system that I knew how to lean into. So somehow by God's grace and by evolving and developing a village, I was able to reach a certain level of success where I am now. And that's by my definition, not by the Joneses or anyone else's. Along the way, had the benefit of becoming a member of the greatest fraternity ever, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated through Zeta Omega Chapter, as I said earlier. And so all of these conglomerate of experiences have made me who I am. And so, and I started wanting to write a book. I started originally from a fiction book, but I was using a lot of autobiographical components that I didn't have the mental aptitude to navigate. I hadn't been involved in therapy. I was still drinking too much. I just wasn't in a healthy space. So I still wanted to express myself. So I navigated from that fictional work into nonfiction. And that was all the way back in 2016 when my fingers first hit the keys on this book. And in it, I kept trying to figure out, how do I explain to our young Black people about things such as their appearance, about how to be authentic, how to be an entrepreneur, how to navigate the educational process, whether you pursue the military, like myself and my colleagues, as your career, or foreshadows another career. So all of these things were part of my story that I put into this book because I wanted to be able to share it and prayerfully be able to help young people. And again, young is relative, but to be able to help them to navigate their professional journey so that way they can avoid some of the pitfalls and landmines that I've made. And I'm sure some of you esteemed brothers have made. So now it's chronicled. It'll be a legacy beyond my time here. And prayerfully, just in the interest of scholarship, of education, that will forward into perpetuity and improve somebody's life by virtue of avoiding my mistakes.
Okay, we're going to stay with you, Attorney Scott. Let's move into having a discussion on the process of getting your book published. You know, once you got that manuscript done, what were the steps you took to get to this point?
Sure. For me, I did self-publishing. I did look at different variations of publishing. Some of my fraternity brothers are authors, and most of them did the self-publishing. Excuse me, most of them did a hybrid form of publishing. I like to tinker with things. I like to understand as an attorney, and I then created a publishing subsidiary. So I wanted to make sure that I understood the legal dynamics as well as sound business practices, such as Dr. Curry mentioned about copywriting. So I wanted to own my own. So I went the route of self-publishing. One of the first things I did is interviewed a host of different editors, because although my undergraduate is in English, I'm fully cognizant that I won't be as hard on my work as someone else would. So I found Miss China Powell out of Powell Editorial in Akron, Ohio. She's worked with me on this project. She's going to work with me on my next project. While she was doing the edits and I was doing the corrections, I had already designed my cover through Canva. I used to be a graphic artist, so I understand the principles of copy, of fonts, of designs, of attractability, if you would. But I then used Fiverr services to have somebody format the cover for KDP and Ingram Sparks. I used someone to format the book itself, so that way that everything lined up, the type was consistent, that it was properly formatted with the proper pagination, table of contents, again, as Dr. Curry said. And from that, I set up my KDP and my Ingram account. KDP through is Amazon allows certain advantages, whereas Ingram allows other advantages, such as wider distribution. And through those two, then I ordered my proofs, made sure that they were good. Once I had proofs, I ordered. And at that point, I started moving into the marketing and promoting space, social media, Instagram, KDP ads, Facebook, LinkedIn. Had a book launch that appeared to be very successful, did pre-orders from December 31st to March 1st, and then have taken it on the road, start sending letters to various Black bookstores, start reaching out to local schools where my book can be something that can be purchased for the students. Just anybody that's willing to listen, I wanted to get in front of them, you know, and just be able to share this, because at the end of the day, I really wanted to be a tool to educate. That's what I wanted to be. And I didn't think I would be the educator that I wanted to be with the way education is moved now. I couldn't be myself. And so this is my textbook, if you would, to share with others. And in that space, that's why it was important for me to be able to have creative license and control over my own product to put it out, and to be able to ensure that it stayed authentic to me.
Okay, all right, thank you, Attorney Scott. All right, Dr. Prosper, same question. You know, we've known each other a few years, so you really kind of surprised me, just from the standpoint you never mentioned that you had a project underway. You just kind of all of a sudden, oh, I got a book. I'm like, really? Let's do this. Please tell us. Once you got
Uh,
your manuscript pulled together, what were the steps you took to get that published?
Brother Holiday, thanks for the question. And I just got to rewind, man. Born in Kingston, Jamaica, moved to the United States, went to college in the US, did a 20-year military career in the US. 3 months after I retired, I returned to Jamaica, which is home. I'm in Montego Bay. So um, I've been fortunate. I've been blessed knowing people like you, Dr. Curry, mentored me and, kept me straight all through these years to um, be successful and figure out what this happiness is all about in life. And I'll never forget those who helped me along that journey. And so, yeah, I want to share it because it's kind of like you figured out a cheat code, man, after a certain point. And people in life who are gatekeepers and hoard information. And I don't want to be that person. I want to share whatever I have figured out. I want to put it out there for all my people to know. And one of those things that I figured out, I put in this book. It's just a snapshot, right? I've got my whole biography. I'm still working on it. It's like 80-page document. But I was like, you know what? This is too much for one book, man. So I'm gonna do snapshots and go the memoir route. So I decided to go my World Cup memoirs and put them in a book and tell the stories and link it back to real life experiences. So I always knew I had a story to tell. I just didn't know how to do it. And once I retired, I actually had the time to, put towards figuring that out. And, whenever you're trying to figure something out, man, you got to go to YouTube. And I went to YouTube and I was scanning those videos and I found out about KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, which is a subsidiary of Amazon, which pretty much took over the publishing industry. I believe they're 80% of the publishing game right now. And yeah, then I discovered a YouTuber who had a very successful career publishing independently via KDP. So I was watching, I went in like Netflix binge on all his videos. I was like, all right, this dude is legit, man. I've learned so much from his free videos on YouTube. I can imagine what else he's got in his course. So, and I do a lot of personal development, wealth building, personal development, just being your best self. And one of the key tenets is that you have to invest in yourself. Nobody's coming to save you. You got to take these leap of faith and invest in yourself. So I did that. I purchased his course, which was thorough. I mean, from front to back on how to publish a book. And being that I was flying in the Air Force for 20 years, I know how to follow a checklist. And the way he structured his course, it was like a checklist. So I just followed the steps. At first, I just listened to the whole course because the way he had it, he wanted people doing the course to do the steps while they were doing their book. I was like, nah, I need to eat this whole thing up first. Then I'm gonna come back to the start and apply it to my book. So I did that. So I purchased the course in November 2024. I binged it in maybe a week, probably less than a week, the whole course. And then I got to typing. I will say AI is huge. So any aspiring authors, AI is huge. AI can help you come up with the title of your book with the subtitle. AI can help you come up with the outline for your book. If you give a detailed prompt, so if anybody wants to learn how to use AI to help you with that, hit me up. I'll have my contact info in the chat here in a minute. That was huge, man. So once I use AI to get that outline, that detailed outline, I just filled it in. And I did that through the month of November and the month of December. And the whole month of January was reaching out to editors, formatters, proofreaders. Like Dr. Curry said, there's a difference between promoting and marketing. There's a difference between an editor and a proofreader. I didn't know that. So that's why you got to invest in yourself and find out from people who are doing it successfully. And so, yeah, I was able to publish my book in February 21st, 2025. And I purchased the course in November 2024, just following the steps. And that's how I got to where I am now.
Okay, outstanding. Thank you, sir. All right, let's move on to Dr. Curry. You mentioned a couple things that we want to now give you the opportunity to expand on. First of all, you mentioned ghostwriting and some of the other services that you as a publisher offer, but you also mentioned something about copyrights. Can you kind of elaborate on those topics for us now?
Sure, I'll be glad to. But before I go too far, this is my book, Striving for Perfection, Developing Professional Black Officers. As I mentioned before, spent 27 years on active duty. Now I'm a senior executive, two-star, working in the Pentagon. So got a lot of leadership experience, commanded 12 times. So leadership is what I do. And I also have about 200 mentees around the nation that we try to pour into, so then they can find that happiness that Dr. Prosper is talking about. Where do we start? Let's start with ghostwriting. Oftentimes, I work with a lot of senior executives, C-suite individuals who just don't have the time. They want to publish a book, and simply don't have the time. Got the money, but don't have the time. So what I do is sit down with them. I have a strategy that we actually use to get their, and I meet with them over Zoom over a period of time to get the idea from their mind down into my computer. And then, of course, over a course of time, we finish their memoir. It's important that the story is in their voice, and so we have to spend some time together getting to know them, so then we can actually transcribe that book in their voice and things of that nature. My name is never on their project at all. So it's almost like, again, I never existed. They sat down, they did the thing, and kind of go from there. Now, ghostwriting is a little bit more expensive because, as you can imagine, you're taking time. And I got a team of ghostwriters, not just me, but I have a team of experienced ghostwriters. And that will cost you anywhere from $10,000 to about $75,000, depending on how much is involved with traveling and things of that nature. But again, it's a one-on-one thing, and I think that we've done a really good job. We've published about 12 ghostwriting books. I've done about 7 of those books on my own, and I got about 4, 5, 6 projects right now that we're working on. Again, not just me, but I have a team of writers that actually does that. When it comes to copyright, the great thing about the copyright, and Attorney Scott can verify this, is that once you copyright something in the United States of America, it stays with you and your estate for 70 years after you die. Now you start thinking about that for a second. If you do 8, 10, 12 books and you're earning an extra $100,000 a year off the sale of your book, that money now can subsidize your family long after you're gone. So we're talking about generational wealth, providing something that the future generations of your family can take advantage of. Absolutely huge. And it's one thing in our community that we typically don't do. And we need to start telling our own story. We have to archive that. In July, I go to a family reunion, and we get to talk about Big Mama. We get to talk about Uncle Willie and all the craziness. Everybody got a crazy uncle somewhere. But I think it's important that my grandkids get to know who actually those people were, and they become more than just a character or a sound bite, someone that we just kind of talked about. So we want to be able to preserve those stories and for our families. The one thing that a copyright will not protect you, again, if you advertise with Amazon or Books A Million and they sell your book overseas, that copyright is only for the US. It is not for international. So again, someone can purchase your book there, mark up the price, or either they can bottle it out to a lower price and still sell it, and it's completely legal in that country. There's not a whole lot you can do with that. So you have to be careful and go in with your eyes wide open. So we host classes trouble with our intellectual property attorney. So then our authors can actually hear directly from the source on what is the right thing to do, how to go about copywriting, and what a copyright actually means. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about hiring attorney Scott to so then we can continue to build on this and do it within the brotherhood, because I think it's critically important. The other thing that is important is understand royalties. How are you going to get paid? We pay out every quarter, like most publishing companies. And so you receive a sales report of how many of your books sold and where they sold. So then if you want to send a thank you note to those to those buyers, those customers, then you can do that. But we believe that's critically important to actually give you an accurate reporting of all the books that you sold during that particular quarter. So again, let me see, what else do I want to talk about?
Well,
Let's
I
say,
got
for instance,
more questions for you, so.
okay, well, I'll leave it alone and let you keep moving, because I know
Okay.
we're running low on time.
No, we're good. We're making good
Okay.
time. Okay, so I'm gonna stay with you. Couple things, and one of these questions is a question that I always wondered, and you had mentioned it in one of our previous discussions, but I think it'll be helpful for everybody else to hear it. Well, the first question is, as a publisher and working with an author, what types of marketing and promotions should they expect from you as their publisher? And then the other one is a very quick question, is which I broached to you before. What's the definition of a best-selling book? You hear these all New York bestsellers. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, let's start from the best selling, and then we'll work to the marketing and promotions. A best-selling book is a book that actually sells about 5,000 copies within a week.
Wow, that's a lot of books.
So one of the things that Attorney Scott did was he said that he did pre-sales from December through March. If he had corralled and said, okay, on 1 February, Black History Month, then my book is going to release. I need everybody to go and buy my book the 1st of February. And so from the 1st to the 7th of February, if all 5,000 people go and purchase his book, it's going to send it off the chart. And so then he would become a best-selling author because he sold it. Now, there's other ways. Now, if you have 15,000 books that you're selling within a month's time, 30 days, then too, you're considered a best-selling author. You get a certificate and things of that nature you can plug up on the wall, which is kind of cool. So again, we try to work with our authors to kind of have them pump the brakes, because everybody's excited about releasing their book. I can't wait to release my book. Well, sometimes let's put a little bit of thought behind it, so then that release is done strategically and you can reap the benefits of that release. You talked about marketing and promotion. When you market a book, it's a broad strategy encompassing all the different activities that will connect you to customers, okay? And that's, and it kind of drive your business to grow. But if we're talking about promotions are more specific. Let's say, for instance, for a book fair, or you're doing a book signing at your local Barnes and Noble. Now we're going to promote that event, that activity, so then you can actually maximize sales. And so it's important that you actually have a marketing campaign where you can develop your brand, which is hopefully you, not your book, because you may produce 4 or 5 books, but the brand is you. And I think it's important that we focus, that we understand that concept. But yet and still, we want to be able to promote multiple projects or multiple events during that period of time. Again, we have a marketing, my marketing chief used to work at Procter & Gamble and up in New York on Wall Street. This guy is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And so he'll take your idea and your book project and then put it on Front Street. It's important to develop that outward face So then internally, you kind of, you're going to sell to family and friends within the first 90 to 120 days. But then what happens after that? We got to get more eyeballs on your project. And the way we get more eyeballs is through marketing, developing a brand, and then, of course, strategically doing promotions. I would say at least 3 or 4 times a quarter. So then your name is getting out there and you're beginning to socialize it. So again, I'll leave it there. Hopefully I answered the questions that you asked.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. And Dr. Prosper, uh, tell everyone, and actually you gave some great examples in your previous response to the point that Attorney Scott is hiding his wife from the information. But why should people buy your book and where can they purchase it?
Okay, so book is available on sale on Amazon right now. The audiobook for Audible should drop anytime right now. It's under review at Audible, so when they say it's good, it'll appear on Amazon for sale. So that could be within the next 3 to 5 days. So we'll see how that goes. As far as buying this book and how it applies to everyone and not just football fans, like I said, it's a travel guide. It's my memoir from my travels at 4 World Cups to 4 different countries, countries that I would have never said, woke up one day and say, hey, I want to go to Russia. So the World Cup is just a great excuse to just go see countries, different places that you'd never think about going. And like I explained before, I made it applicable to world travelers because I talked about how I save for my trips, my strategies for saving, my strategies with co-branded credit cards for Sky Miles, hotel points. I talk about how I use that to subsidize my trips and make literally my lodging or my airfare free. I have a chapter where I evaluate Airbnbs versus staying with someone you know versus a hotel versus a hostel. I talk about safety while traveling in international countries. And I just talked about the whole experience of just increasing your cultural capital, dealing with people from around the globe. And it's just a phenomenal feeling. And it just helps you when you return home to go home with an open mind and understand that everyone's on the same page in this world. And, despite what we're seeing in the news and what's being, the rhetoric we're hearing, yeah, unless you travel the world, you're gonna drink the Kool-Aid of what you're being fed. So part of this book is a message is just get out there, man, and see the world and experience other people, other cultures, and make those conclusions based on your experiences, not what you're being fed.
Okay, outstanding. Thank you. All right, let's move on to Attorney Scott. Tell us why people should purchase your book and where they can get your current book for
Sure.
purchase.
Sure, thank you. Just like Brother Prosper said, my book is available on Amazon. So I am feeding the algorithm in that regard by promoting sales there. You also can get when I've neglected to mention at any point actually that it's both physical copy and electronic copy, and there's actually a companion workbook that's there as well. I want people to read the book and actually dive into the homework and actually use it to help build yourself. Scripture says, study and show thyself approved. I believe it's 2 Timothy. Do so. Determine how you want to move your career and actually work towards it. That's what this book is for. And it's not just for our young Black professionals, but I was talking to them from the lens of I once was a young Black professional, not as young as I used to be. But I want them to benefit from it. But it is beyond that. It's something, there's concepts that we all can benefit from, irrespective of your race, your age, your gender. Concepts such as successful mindset. Now, what we may possibly do as military men, or what we all may do as Omega men, we have a different level of discipline. We have a different level of wiring as to how we define success, how we set our mindset to go after it, how we internalize emotional intelligence. Everybody has their own barometer, their own window in how they will see those concepts. That's what this book is about. It's getting you to understand what's out there. Or more so, it's not even about understanding what's out there. It's first about understanding yourself. You know, there's a chapter on imposter syndrome. And the more I spent on the concept of imposter syndrome, that actually became the birth of my second book, which I'm very actively working on now. I was interviewing someone just prior to this. So learning what is within you, learning what your strengths, your weaknesses, your limitations, your capabilities are, that's what this book is about. And then that's the insights, but then the tips. What can I do to navigate this? What can I do to overcome this shortcoming? What can I do to be more strategic in how I overcome this? That's the strategy. How do I get into the rooms with the people that I need to mentor me? How do I then understand the difference between a mentor and sponsor? And how do I engage with that person to be able to develop that relationship the best way possible? So concepts such as that are what's in the book. It's alphabetical, it's not chronological. So people can identify what's the most important topic to them. They can look at appearance, they can look at authenticity, they can look at branding. You know, Brother Curry was right on point. You don't want just your book to sell, you want to be the product, if you would. It was a Jay-Z that said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. That's the goal, to be able to brand yourself so that people buy into Tony Scott, Jerry Holiday, Dr. Curry, Dr. Prosper. And then you follow the other projects that we put out there. You want to hear us speak, you want to hear us pour into you, and hopefully you build that relationship so that you can sustain some longevity. So that's what this book is about, is really adjusting your mindset to be intentional and developing yourself. And like I said, that's irrespective of age, race, sex, political ideologies. It's universal. As to the book, again, I'll put the contact information in the chat.
Okay, outstanding. All right, gentlemen, it's been stellar. I am very pleased, very impressed with each of you. I'm going to take a moment to do a little PSA here. First of all, I want to recognize and thank the folks that really support this program, that being from our district. Our fraternity is divided into different geographical areas, and the 12th district, which is the area that we reside in, has been very supportive of this event from the start. So I want to thank our current district representative, Brother Ed Young, for allowing us to circulate this information throughout the 10 states in our district. I also want to thank the brothers of Kappa Xi chapter in Las Vegas, and specifically Jamon Kearney, who was bossless, which is president when I presented this program option, when I thought this would be something good for us to do. And he supported us and basically got us a budget to do this. So the chapter is still supporting this financially. So it's been very helpful in allowing us to be, in my opinion, extremely successful. I also want to thank Donovan Bell, who I don't think is here this evening, but his right hand ace, Adrian Allen, who is here, who helps us with our IT to make sure things go well, gets us set up in so many ways. It's an area that I have zero in terms of being able to do it. So they have been very supportive of this program. So with that, we're going to wind up with one last question, gentlemen. Here we go. It's going to be a quick one. And we're going to start with Attorney Scott. If having the experience that you have now behind you, and you actually are writing your next book, from your experience, what would be one thing you would suggest to someone else who is just getting started on getting published?
Sure. Discipline. Discipline. I find just a mentee today asked me, how do I exist in so many worlds at the same time? You know, still working 9 to 5. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, served on several boards in various leadership capacities, plus my consulting practice, promoting and marketing this book, and trying to write 2 more actually. So
Okay.
life is very busy, and somewhere in all that, trying to navigate how to be healthier again. I don't look like the young bodybuilder and powerlifter I once was. I
Okay.
look like my before clients. So having said that, all of that takes discipline. You know, I live religiously by my calendar. My wife is also an attorney. We share a calendar so that way we can support each other's events and then also hold each other accountable. But in that space, there is a time to write. There's days that I set aside an hour for promotion, for marketing. There's times that I fulfill direct orders, and that's on the calendar. There's times that I thankfully just get to write, you know. And so it's about that discipline, that consistency. If you just continue to operate, continue to move forward, that one day of just free thinking, of just stream of consciousness, will then turn into a chapter in the book. You know, I've done like Brother Prosper. I've used AI in order to help me outline before I then start just going and incorporating pieces. That all comes with, there's days on the calendar. There's discipline in staying adherent to that. That's, I have to thank the Marine Corps and the Qs for that discipline, you know. And so that's really it. You know, believe in yourself, believe you can do it. As I mentioned earlier, 2 Timothy, study and show thyself approved, commit to it, go on YouTube, talk to professionals, talk to other colleagues like Brother Prosper, like Brother Curry. I'm so glad to have met him. We'll definitely be talking more. So decide you want to do it, commit to it, lock it in the calendar, and go after it. And don't let anybody dissuade you, even if it's just art that you release for yourself. That's one value of art, but then there's also art for its commodification. Get it out there, get it monetized, build your brand, build your client base, and just spread the word. But starts with discipline.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Prosper, same question. What's that one recommendation you would have for someone just starting out on this journey?
All right, great question. I'm kind of going to cheat and touch on 2 and piggyback on what Brother Scott just talked about. In academia, when I was writing research articles for peer-reviewed journals, I discovered this concept called snack writing, because you're not going to write a whole book in one weekend. We've been programmed to think we could just hit a home run all at once. That time does not exist to get it right all at once. So snack writing, half hour every day. That's it. It's a half hour every day or 1 page a day. And I use a tool with Google Calendar called Goals, where you could tell it, I want 1 hour each day, and Google will find where you don't have anything going on and pop it on your calendar for that 1 hour. And you just got to respect that and stop doing what you're doing. When you get that notification, it's time to write for 30 minutes and just write. So that was one thing I learned. The other thing I learned recently, since I'm working with my audiobook, if you are publishing a book and you want to make an audiobook, don't publish your paperback, your hard copy before the audiobook. Because when you get to listen to somebody reading every single word of your book, you are going to catch so many things, so many revisions. And this is me. I'm like, oh man, I got to change that. So now I got to go back and change it in my hard copy manuscript. I got to change it in my ebook manuscript, and I got to change it in my paperback manuscript. So I say, hold off, try to launch them all at the same time. And man, when you listen to that narrator read your book to you, because when you read what you wrote, you're just flowing through it, because you're kind of like subconsciously, you expect to read, you expect in your mind, but it might not be what's actually written on the book. But when you hear somebody reading it and you're like, ooh, I got to change that. So I would say, yeah, that audiobook, when you listen to a narrator reading every word of your book, that's a game changer. So hold off on the audiobook. I know you're going to be excited. You want to launch your book soon as possible. But if you could hold off and wait till that audiobook is ready, if you are good with your audiobook, you are good with your paperback, your hard copy, and your ebook. When your audiobook is right, you're good with all the other versions. So that's my tip that I pass on to any aspiring author.
That's a great tip. All right, and on to Dr. Curry. Uh, as a publisher, working with writers all the time, and let's say a new writer who's just starting out, what's the one thing you would tell them they need to do that would most likely make them successful in the undertaking?
I'm going to echo everything that Attorney Scott and Dr. Prosper said, first of all, but more importantly, be organized. Have a singular focus on what it is you want to write. This is not like going to the mall and you just kind of you window shopping. You have to know what it is you're attempting to do. That's the one thing I can say with ghostwriting, it does for you. It kind of helps draw out those ideas. But if you're doing this on your own, I can't substitute the importance of discipline, which has already been said, and keeping a steady calendar. And if it's a research piece, then assemble all your research at one time and lay it in front of you. So then you can kind of go back and leverage it as you're continuing to write. But more important, you have to be organized. You know, you got to be organized if you're going to take that project on. And you want to surround yourself with people that are going to support you, because truly it can be a big distraction if you're around people that don't believe in your dream. And trust me, there's a lot of people that are not going to believe in your dream along the way. Life is going to keep on lifing. And so with that being said, you're going to have to be focused and know what the heck you're trying to do. So I'll leave it there.
Okay, outstanding. Great suggestions, gentlemen. Okay, we're going to wrap up. We do have a few questions, so we're going to cover those. But before we do that, I know one question was regarding how could someone get an autographed copy of Dr. Prosper's book. But let me tell you, one of the reasons we really push people to register in advance, and because if you register and you attend, you have a likelihood. It's better than the lottery, but it's not going to be guaranteed. We're going to do drawings at some point in the future and pick random attendees to win a book, an autograph book. Now, actually, as I think about it, getting an autograph book from Dr. Prosper, because he doesn't live in the continental U.S., the books that I will have will not be autographed. So we'll have to go back and check with him on working through that. But the
I'll
other
work with him.
books, yeah, okay. The other books that we have, not only from these gentlemen, but we still have some books from these are number 36, 37, and 38 writers that have participated in these 10 programs. And they have discussed 40 different books. We had 2 writers who had published second books and came back like a year later. So we have quite a library. I have mailed out, I think, about 70, 80 books across the country from Maine, which I was surprised, to California and every place in between. So we will do that. It's not going to be done next week because I'm a staff of 1, but we will get to that. Now, the other thing I want to ask, as I just mentioned, each of these writers have donated 5 copies of their books for the drawing. They paid for those. They are not compensated for their participation tonight. In fact, we charge them money to participate. So with that, and as you can see, they are excellent speakers, very knowledgeable professionals. So please support them by buying their books. You know, we do ask you that you commit to doing that. and support them in that way and recommend their books to your friends. They're good gifts for holidays and birthdays, you know, something that's a little different these days than the normal things like a bottle of scotch or one of those other things they can give people. So please support them, but also keep in mind if you are having particular programs, speaking to students, speaking to staff, if you're having an event that you want to bring in a dynamic speaker, these gentlemen can fill that role, and they're located in different parts of the country. Again, Dr. Prosper is in Jamaica, but he travels, obviously, as he mentioned. That's what his book talks about. Dr. Curry is in the DMV. Attorney Scott is in Cleveland. So, and honestly, the 38 other writers we have are spread out throughout the continental U.S. We also have a writer in Shanghai, China. So, you know, if you need something international, we can get that for you. So just want to ask you to do that. And with that, we will, and Paul, you had something that you wanted to comment?
Yes, Brother Holiday.
Go ahead.
I noticed myself and Brother Scott posted the information for our books and contact info, but it says it's only going out to hosts and panelists. Can you ensure it gets out to the audience?
Okay. Okay, well, what you need to do is, oh, okay, that's not available in the drop down. I'll talk to our crack IT team to find out how we can do that. Okay, because
thank you.
that's yeah, we'll make sure that takes. But in that vein, if you want information on any writer that has participated in our program, you can reach us by DM on our social media at Facebook or Instagram, and that's Omega Black Writers Series, and just message us. And I do check it, if not daily, every other day. So we will make sure that that information is passed on to any writer that you want to contact. So that's not going to be an issue. But yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So that's we'll work through our team. What we could do is we could post that on our social media, so people will be able to go out to the social media and see that. And then also in that regard, this video will be posted on YouTube. We have 9 that are currently posted. Just go to YouTube, search Omega Black Writers, and you will see that the other 9 and this video will be posted sometime over the next week or two. I can't speak specifically because I don't do that. That's again part of our crack IT team. So I don't want to tell them they need to get it done by tomorrow. They'll laugh at me. So just know that that will be available. If you missed it, part of it, or if you have a friend that you want to recommend. I did go online before today, and some of our videos have gotten 160, 170 views since they were posted. On average, so it's more like 30 to 40, but people are watching. So please continue to do so. Okay, let's get to these questions. All right, thank you for that, Paul. Okay, here it is. How can we get an autographed copy of the book from Brother Paul Prosper? So John McKay asked that question. So we'll maybe give you his contact information, if that's okay, Paul. Now, what you do need to do and be aware of, since he's international, you need to call him on WhatsApp.
Yep, I'm in touch with Brother McKay, and I will make sure he gets an autograph copy.
Oh,
Appreciate you being on the call, Brother McKay.
Okay. All right, I will cancel that and said answer live. Okay. We have a question from Christopher Franklin, who's in Connecticut. I know Brother Franklin. It's not a question, it's an invitation to all 3 presenters. I have sent link and invites to you. Please kindly accept. Christopher Enon Franklin, MS 190 OH Omega Eta Yukon, 1st District. So he'd like for you guys to connect with him. And And we have another comment here. Roosevelt Williams Jr., outstanding program. Looking forward to the next. Thank you, Roosevelt, for joining us. And looks like we had some previous questions that were answered. Okay, this one was from George Bonner. Brother Curry, does your publishing company publish fiction? If so, what genres? Yes, we publish fiction in all genres. And Dr. Gerald Curry, Curry Brothers Publishing, he gave the link and his email. So that was the other question that we had. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, just another comment from attorney Tony Scott, thanking everyone for joining us and let you know that it was very appreciated that you folks did join us today. And that was a response to John McKay, who was saying, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, if there are not any other questions, we'll go ahead and call it a night. It's a little later where they are than where I am. I'm on Pacific Standard Time. They're on Eastern Standard Time, so it's like midnight. Not quite, but it's later there. So we're going to let these gentlemen go. Again, if you need to reach any of them, please drop us a message, DM us on Omega Black Writers series on Facebook or Instagram. And that is a page that is posting every day. You can go back through it and look at just a number of outstanding posts regarding publishing. Then you can also check out the Instagram lives that are there. Let me see, was there some other questions that came in? Doesn't look like it. Okay, if there's nothing else, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and call it night. I want to thank you for doing our number 2. Scholarship is our second cardinal principle, and this program was started so that we could highlight the academic and outstanding. We have just tonight we have two PhDs and a Juris Doctorate. So I mean, I'm just impressed with these gentlemen, and they continue to impress me. So, all right, we're going to call it a night. Thank you very much, everyone that joined us. And again, you can hit us up, social media. We'd be happy to respond to any requests moving forward. Until the next time, Rue.
Thanks
Okay,
for having
Adrian,
us.
you can take us out.
Yeah, I'll play Atomic Dog.